Welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. I'm Joey Calvo. It's been a bit. It's been since July when we had our last guest on. And it was a very good one. It was a very productive one. We are now over 2,100 downloads, which I'm happy to say. So thank you so much for bringing it there. So like I said, it's been a bit, and my age isn't helping me anymore. I started to have a problem with my foot last night. Hopefully it's short-lived. It's not broken or anything, or sprained or strained or something like that. Because I need it to work. So the reason why I came on today is a couple things. First of all, happy Labor Day weekend. Like I said, the last time we were together live on YouTube and on the podcast itself was in July with Lori Singer. So I've been working on getting more guests on the podcast. I've been up to my wit's end. I'm going everything from superheroine cosplayers to up and coming models. I have been left, right, everywhere in between on it, and porn stars, yes, and adult entertainment stars. So we're working on that too. They get back to me saying, "Yeah, I want to come on. What day do you have available?" And then when I get back to them, I don't hear from them. They're very busy, so I understand that. I do want to thank Madeline Ray. She's been helping me with some little side bits. Please check out MadelineRay.com. It's at the end of the ticker at the bottom. Of course, also an announcement came out before the last podcast with my friend Eric Essex, who's been on this podcast twice already. He is having a concert next year with the one and only Pat Metheny. Two great performers that I like. Eric Essex, Pat Metheny. Together, one show. I think it's one show. I have to double check when the show is, but it's not going to be here in Philly, unfortunately. I've had to go south for it. So what has been going on, like I said, is I've been reaching out and trying to get more guests for this podcast so that way we can make it a little bit more livelier. I've tried to reach out to I should say a so-called friend who does TV and trying to get this podcast on national TV. But that fell through, and I haven't heard from that person since. But like I said, a lot of things have been going on. Like I said, I had to cancel a trip recently because I was sick as a dog, and I went to New York on top of all that to go to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania for it, just to go to this one casino in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. You have to go to New York from Philly, but it's worth it. So, and I only go out there let's see, I went out in August, so it's almost like every 5 months I go out there. So, I probably won't go out till next year now. But I do have a guest coming up next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time here live. Her name is Molly Walensky. and she is a ketamine assisted physiotherapist. So we're going to talk about that and how trauma is important in life with her with the therapy that she provides. I'm hoping to have more people on soon before the end of the year. I'm actually thinking of doing a podcast only, no YouTube, in November. I think it's the 8th or 9th. So I think it's the 8th. I'm going to Dallas. Yes. For all you cowgirl fans, yes. I'm coming to Dallas for the night. For the night though. I'm not gonna touch AT&T Stadium. I'm not gonna go I will not have Eagles gear on or any football gear on. So I'm asking for peace as I'm coming down. I may do a podcast down there. I haven't decided yet. But if I do, it's a podcast only, no YouTube. Only because what I'm going down with is not a lot. So we're going to have Molly Valinsky on next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, here live on the YouTube channel as well as on the podcast itself. So any questions you have for Molly, you'll be able to ask them through the here on YouTube. Like I said, I'm hoping to get more guests before the end of the year podcast in December. I'd like to do a nice end of year podcast this year. A very nice end of year podcast. Make it surprising, Try to get some former guests on, and chat about how their year went and everything, and if they picked up anything being on the podcast, or if the podcast did anything for them. But I definitely there's this one cosplayer. She's very young. She's very beautiful. And I am like bending over backwards to have her on the podcast because she has a YouTube channel. And I just found out she has a Patreon account now. And she goes by Snarky J Cosplay. She tells it like it is about what's going on with the comics, why DCEU is like kind of dead. I actually had a conversation with a colleague at work about that, and he was explaining to me about that as well, and I'm like, wow. But she is like the perfect guest to have on here to talk about cosplay, DC, Wonder Woman. I mean, and she's very young. So, if you're watching this YouTube channel or if you're listening on the podcast, you gotta check her out. It's Snarky J Cosplay, and it's spelled SNARKYJAY, and then of course cosplay. She's on X, formerly Twitter. Come on, Elon. X. I'm happy with Twitter. Okay. She's on X. She's on Facebook. I know she's on Instagram. I saw her on Facebook. I think I'm following her on Facebook, and I'm following her YouTube channel. Like I said, her videos are to the point. Um, I would I would not argue with her with a 50-foot pole. I I let her tell it as it is and just go with it. You know, um, I mean, and oh, when she dresses up as Wonder Woman, and I'm talking about every version, from the Linda Carter version to the Gal Gadot version, she makes she makes her look so young and amazing. Now, don't get me wrong, there's another one that I do follow, and she's great as well. Her name is Linda Lucia Carter, and she on um, Instagram it's under Linda Carter cosplayer. Same thing with Facebook, so follow her there. Um, but I mean, definitely between the and the one thing I like about Linda Lucia Carter, Linda Carter cosplayer. Um, yes, she's Colombian, so she doesn't speak much English. I've been trying to get her. She wants to come on the podcast, but it's the language the language barrier kind of keeps popping up, and trying to work with it. It was kind of hard, but we're eventually going to get there. Because her English, her she could understand what I would say, but in reference to explaining it might be a little hard. But um, she's still great. I would still follow her on Instagram, um, and also on X, as well as Facebook. Um, her and Snarky J. Those are the two main. Actually, there's a third one. Um, I mean, there's so many Wonder Woman cosplayers um, that I like, um, but definitely um, there's Susie Creates Cosplay. There's Snarky J. There's Linda Carter Cosplayer. Those are the main. There's, like I said, there are so many, but I can't. I can't say I can't mention them all because I don't know them all. That's a bad thing. Um, but definitely here on YouTube, um, Linda Lucia Carter has a YouTube channel, as well as Snarky J Cosplay. So definitely subscribe to their channels here on YouTube as well. Um, definitely, like I said, and like I said, I rarely talk about superheroines on the podcast, but I wanted to bring this up because, like I said, I've been trying to get more guests, and I've been all out. Like I said, I'd love to have Snarky J on here because, like I said, she could really explain everything, Marvel, DC, etc., and really promote herself. And I mean, she's very young, very beautiful. I mean, I mean, she's like the youngest cosplayer I've seen. I will say that. Um, I'm not giving away her age, of course. I don't want to. She would if she was on, but I won't out of respect. Like I said, Linda Lucia Carter, aka Linda Carter cosplayer. She's another great one. But she's great, and she's great, and her and I talk once in a while, and you know, I suggest her, like, because she does when she does videos for YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and that, she goes off the series. So there's been a couple she showed me that were off the series, but if you kind of look, they kind of were in the series a little bit. But she is working on original ones, and I told her, you know, of course, being how much I love Wonder Woman, I love the first. There's actually a rainbow outside my house. Wow, I didn't even know it rained here. Sorry, I'm just seeing this little rainbow, little piece of rainbow right in front of me, as I'm looking out my window. Um, but one thing I liked about the first season and a half of Wonder Woman with Linda Carter was the hair fall and transformation. From being Diana Prince to going into Wonder Woman and the hair falling. There's another one that I've had on the podcast, but never on the YouTube end, and that was Shalene Kent. Unfortunately, we don't speak anymore, and it upsets me because she was a great person to chat with, and I wanted her to come back on the podcast again to keep promoting herself, with everything she was doing. But one thing led to another, and all of a sudden our friendship kind of fell apart, and it does hurt me on that. And if she was watching this, I've apologized so many times about it. Another cosplayer, or actually, correction, another adult actress. I mentioned before, Madeline Ray. We're working on getting her on here. Miss Whitney Morgan, she was another one. There were so many that I wanted to reach out to. Callie Logan. I definitely want her on the podcast because she's done so many. She produces videos and stuff, and there'd be a lot to talk about there. Like I said, I'm trying to get superheroine cosplayers on here. I'm trying to get actors. I'm trying to get Carol Alt back on. Believe me, I'd want her back on here in a heartbeat. Of course, Eric Essex always knows he's always welcome to come on when he wants to. I definitely want him on. I would love to have him and Pat Metheny together. That would be like the ultimate podcast to me. Be the ultimate podcast. Gregory Jabara from Blue Bloods, I'd like to have him on here again, where we can talk about college football. A tiny bit, because he's a Michigan fan and I'm a Rutgers fan. But there's so many people that I want to reach out to. I get a list of podcast guests at least twice a week. I started reaching out to them. That's how. Sorry. A little tired too. I haven't been getting a lot of sleep. Still having some issues on that. But we did fix the CPAP machine. But there's so many people that I'd love to have on this podcast and really like chat with them and really get to know them and bring, promote everything about them out. Kimberly Kravis, um, great news reporter, has been on this podcast before. Matter of fact, she has kind of been on the StreamYard, but more phone wise than the StreamYard. But she's got a big day coming up, so I kind of backed off a little bit. I still would love to get this podcast out on like Newsmax or one of the smaller cable news channels, and not CNN. Okay, not CNN. Not Fox News, like Newsmax or some of these little struggling ones, and make it like a Larry King Live type show. What else? I want to take this on radio even. I do have, I believe, I don't know if I have it on the ticker down the bottom, but I did have like a GoFundMe type thing, where I was raising money to try to get on the radio, go to radio broadcasting school. Todd Newton, another great guy. He was fun to chat with. He is actually going to be here in Atlantic City next month, and I'm going to try. It took almost 3 years to get him on this 2.5 years to get him on the podcast. I got him on finally. We had a short chat, but the video's up on the live section of the YouTube channel here, so you gotta check it out. He wrote a book, Life in the Bonus Round. Of course, Sepsis. I'd love to have them back out on the podcast again when they have new music out to promote any concerts they want to promote, everything. Lexi Swarm, I don't know what happened. I must have said something, and I apologize to her, but we've had a fallout, and I'm still going to promote her. I'm still going to promote her podcast. I'm still going to, be that support for her, no matter what, because she is a sweetheart. She's a great person, and it's like I can't be any more sorry for what I've done. But definitely check the bottom of the ticker. Check out her podcast, Metal Honey's podcast, as well as there's a website where she's got a t-shirt for sale. So definitely grab one of those t-shirts. I told you about Todd Newton. I told you about Eric Essex. EricEssex.net. And his last name is spelled ESSIX.net. Joe Fernandez, another comedian who we had on the podcast, and we had fun picking on the T-Mobile 5G internet. So go to joefernandez.net. CarolAlt.com. That's supermodel Carol Alt. She just did a chat last week with another up and coming model, and I've tried to reach out to that model. They were talking about Sports Illustrated, so I've reached out to her and been trying to get her to come on as well, and chat. Sepsis.com for tour dates and new music. Mel Honey's podcast on Buzzsprout. You can search for it on Spotify. Jana Swan, she's got a podcast out. Happy, Healthy, Horny podcast. So check that out. I do have a merchandise website. It's shop.spreadshirt.com/life-with-Joey-Calvo, which is on the bottom. Of course, Kimberly Kravitz. And then ericessex.net, where you can purchase the latest CD, Stride. I think he's got a new CD coming out soon. That'll be on the website as well. Yeah, Todd Newton. So I probably have told you everything that's going on. Again, I apologize that it's been 2 months, less than 2 months, since the last podcast has been out. There will be one next Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, here live on the YouTube channel, as well as recorded podcast-wise with Molly Belinsky. Hopefully we'll have more guests on between September and December before the end of your podcast. Like I said, I'm going to try to do it might not be a guested podcast if I do one in Dallas in November. I don't know. So right now I wouldn't count on it yet, as much as I'd like to do one in Dallas. I still owe you guys one from Vegas. And I'll tell you, it gets expensive to go out to Vegas now, more and more. So at this point, I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for the 2,155 downloads of this podcast. So, and those watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Hopefully my right foot will be better. It's in pain right now. When I walk, I don't know what I did to it. It started hurting like last night. Hopefully a lot of things are going to be going on between now and December that, we're going to have more podcasts. And even in the new year, I'd like to do one really out of here. And I'm not talking Atlantic City or Dallas or Vegas. I'm literally talking about out there. So enjoy the rest of the Labor Day weekend. Thank you so much for listening and watching the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. I'm Joey Calvo. God bless you all. Take care.